It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of limousine or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you because that's New Orleans, and this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar today, we're at the fabulous Wayfair on Ferret Street, which is a restaurant and a bar that serves handcrafted food and spirits where they put fine dining into a sandwich and fine booze into a glass. They have a 3-hour happy hour here every day from 4 to 7, and they have an awesome brunch on the weekends. Do you know anything about that, Zach?
Yeah, I think it's great. I've gotten here in both a limousine and from jail,
and
but not today.
Today you got here under your own steam. Zach Smith is here with me today, and so is Julia Sevan, otherwise pronounced Sevin, S-E-V-I-N. And our musical guest today is Gandhi Castle, but like Gandhi, they're not here.
M-I-A.
What happened to Gandhi? Gandhi got assassinated, right? Did he?
I feel like I should know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Don't we know that what happened to Gandhi?
Let's say yes.
I think he got shot.
Yes.
Pretty much
Yeah.
everyone
We're getting
who
an answer
getting
from Chris.
thumbs up.
Yes.
Chris
Yeah.
says Chris knows what's going on. Chris says he got shot. Okay, so I think what happened to Gandhi Castle is they got killed on the way here today.
That's sad.
I know it's awful
I
because
was
they were
looking
such a
for
great band. I'll tell you something about them. They were formed in, I don't know, like screw that. If they show up, I'll tell you all about them. But anyway, I don't know where they are. They usually, most of these bands show up here for the show, so hopefully they will. If they don't show up, then what we're going to do is we're going to switch gears and we're going to have you play a drum solo.
That's
Zach?
fine. Actually, Motley Crue was just in town, and Tommy Lee left me his roller coaster drum set that turns around and
Oh, you
stuff.
have that?
I have
Okay.
it in the truck.
Oh, nice.
It just
Okay,
takes
so we'll go
me-
get that. Take you like 5 hours to assemble
Takes me
it.
about 7 union workers and about 6 hours to set up.
Okay,
so
awesome.
I should make a call right now?
Okay. We'll see if you. Yeah, we'll just text someone. So Zach
I'm on
Zach is a drummer in Rotary Downs. Did you know that, Julia?
I didn't.
He's an awesome drummer and awesome photographer.
Thank you.
A lot of people in New Orleans have two things that they can do.
You got your profession and your hustle, and
Right.
you can have multiple spokes of the hustle, multiple spokes of the profession. Sometimes they overlap. Sometimes those in your professional world don't know your hustle world. Vice versa. Sometimes they're the same thing, but most New Orleanians have a hustle. I mean,
What
admit
did you
it.
start? They do.
Yeah.
What did you start out with? Did you start out with the photography or as a musician?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call out what I started as a musician. It was a.
Well, I know you're a
a high
drummer.
school-
I know
yeah.
there's a lot of jokes about
Yeah, you know,
hanging
like
out with musicians.
my favorite drummer joke is the how do you know a stage is level?
Okay.
There's drool coming out of both sides of the drummer's mouth.
Okay, that's good. What,
No, but,
what do you call a drummer? A guy who likes to hang out with musicians.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
That's
and
another
those
nice
are the
one.
only clean drummer jokes
Oh,
we
are
can
there?
say on air.
You don't have we have no FCC to worry about here. You can say anything you like on this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you have any dirty drummer jokes? I didn't know there was such a thing.
Well,
Julie, are you up with that?
Oh, I don't hang out with a lot of musicians.
I'm not
but
gonna-
I
I'm
definitely hate drummers.
I'm not going to down.
You hate
I'm not going
drummers.
to downplay my kind. I'm not the. You need the drummer. You need the timekeeper. As Johnny Vodakovich said, we're the policemen of the band.
Okay, well that's good.
Yes.
He's an interesting drummer.
He is an interesting human being.
What came first with you though, drumming or photography?
Drumming
So
for sure. When I was 14, 15 years old.
It's like caveman.
Totally, yabba yabba. Yeah, some friends of mine were just having a band one day, and they said, "Oh, Zach, you're the drummer." And
This is here in New Orleans.
this is in Lafayette.
You grew up in Lafayette?
I did.
Hey,
yeah.
so did Allison, a photographer.
Oh yeah, I know Allison. Hey,
Hey, that's funny because she's a photographer and you're a photographer and you're from Lafayette and she's from Lafayette.
it's a small world.
Isn't
Allison
it
actually
really?
took
It's a
one of
small
my
state.
photography workshops.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, a few months ago.
So you teach photography at the Academy of Fine Art.
I teach at
On
the
Magazine
Academy
Street.
of Fine Arts since around 2002, and since 2012, I've started my own workshop series called
At-
Zach Smith Photography Workshops.
At the Academy of Fine Art?
No,
Or
this
somewhere
is all,
else?
this is all my own.
Oh, where
this
do
is
you
where
do that?
we a lot of my workshops are hands-on workshops, so long exposure nighttime photography. We do environmental portrait photography using strobes and natural light, basically teaching the things that I do professionally. So you can kind of call it a hustle, I guess, but a more professional hustle.
Okay. So do you take a class outside or somewhere, wherever photos are taken?
Yeah, 2 of my classes I'm offering now. One of my classes is called Studio on the Go. Geaux.
Geaux. I
Of
just
course.
knew that was
Hey,
coming.
ba-dum-ps. And one is taught on the North Shore at a 100-year-old home on the banks of the Bogafly River with professional models and lighting. And one is taught
Professional
in
models, now we're talking.
Yeah. And
What does that look like? That's like a porno shoot?
Well, no, it's actually people who know what they look like and know when they move what's happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when you say professional models, it's not the same thing you see on Craigslist.
Not the same thing you have in
Professional
your
models.
mind.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not naked men and women.
It's not. The other class we do have is in the city, so the people are more likely to do that in the country. But in the city, we have a partnership that we have with Salon de Beaumont on St. Charles, where there's professional models, professional hairstylists, and I get my assistants that I work with to be the assistant for each small group of budding photographers. who
So
come out and
you're a
shoot.
wannabe photographer or a student photographer, and you get an actual assistant.
You get an assistant.
Who
you
knows
get,
what they're
You
doing.
get me to come around and help with direction. You get a professional model and stylist to help you. You basically were creating a team, a creative
So
team.
you're learning
assistant
how to
team
take a photo in a professional setting.
from the
So
ground
what
up.
does a photographer's assistant do, and how do I get a job like that?
It depends. I got
Will they make you coffee and stuff like that, or
no.
move lights around?
No, yeah, there's one assistant that will be a lighting assistant, which will move lights, set lights. There will be one that will help with the talent, either go button a shirt or help someone with something,
Sure,
or
you could do that.
just the more finesse type things. Maybe see something that I'm not seeing and make a suggestion. But right now, for the types of shoots I do locally, the budgets that I'm working with only afford me to put in there about maybe one or two assistants. So the people that I have pretty much can do everything.
So what sort of a suggestion would you make? I mean, I just, like most people, take my phone and shoot something and it looks like shit, and I go, oh well, I guess that's good enough to put on Facebook.
What are you trying to do? What is your goal with that image? What are you
Well, I was
trying to
wondering
do
if
with it?
somebody was going to tell me something. If they're your assistant, what do they tell you? Like,
Do you see that hair going across the person's eye?
okay.
And do you see? Because I'm trying to picture from corner to corner in my composition, the background, the depth, the clouds, the people, how they fit in and tell that story that my client hired me to tell visually. There's a lot of little things that I don't see that are happening in there.
So that's why you have an assistant.
Exactly.
Okay.
To kind of be your eyes and ears. Zach, there's a car coming and it's going to hit you if you don't move.
Well, that would be a good thing to know.
That's great.
So you'd have to have the courage to speak up.
Yeah,
if you're your
and you know
assistant.
what? They don't get paid enough. My
How much do you
assistants,
pay them?
It varies on the job.
Julie, what do you think? Are you up for a job?
Good answer,
$5. Pay them in drinks.
It's like tips.
It all
$1,000, I
depends.
don't know.
It all depends.
I'd love to
I
have
usually
an
don't like to
assistant.
throw around numbers without a proper
Without a
bid
context.
proposal.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Julie, do you have an assistant?
I have a secretary.
You do. Okay. I would think that would be regarded in the category of assistants.
No,
Yeah.
I have. So the thing I do most of my time right now is operate as president of the New Orleans chapter of AIGA.
Alcoholics International G.
AIGA is the Professional Association for Design, and we're a nationwide organization of 27,000 designers across 70 chapters in the U.S. and a new chapter in the Middle East. At the local level, we have...
Hang on, you have to slow down. 27,000
That's correct.
designers.
And that's only the
I'm writing
paying
it down.
members. We have, closer to 500,000 people who are interested who identify as designers.
Wow, and that's in the
Or
Middle East too.
design-minded,
Is that like
including
Ohio?
the middle. I believe they're based in Tehran, which I think is really interesting. And I've seen some
Wow.
videos of their meetups, and it's beautiful
Tehran?
to see. Yes.
I didn't think we were even allowed to do business with anybody in Tehran legally.
Well, I think
that's
on
in
this-
Iran, right?
Yes, and
Just
I think
to straighten that out.
on this volunteer
That's
level,
totally
I think you can do what
illegal.
you want. We're designers without borders, I guess.
Oh, that's interesting. Designers without borders. Hey, so there's 500,000 people who identify as designers, and only 27,000 of them actually pay up. Sort of
yes.
a cheap. It's a cheap set of
Well,
people.
500,000 is an estimate based on who we have as followers on social media.
You have 500,000 people. What social media am I going to there?
Oh, well, if you go to the at AIGA Design Twitter account, that has a
You have to speak much slower than this.
AIGA
Have
Design.
you smoke pot?
No.
And
Maybe.
never.
Were you going to suggest
Not
that she
really.
does?
Not
This would be
today.
a good time to start. So we need to slow it down to the speed that
You
the rest
sound
of us
like
are
my
going
mother.
out here.
You should smoke more pot, Julia.
Yeah, your mom's a big pot smoker,
Okay,
right?
I'll slow down. Yes,
yeah,
she is.
Yeah, she called me earlier today. Asked me if I had any weed, actually. Where does she live, your mom?
She lives in Oregon and California. She goes
Oregon
back and
and
forth.
California. That's
Yes.
two good
She could
weed
She's
get-
a,
spots.
she could get
she's
you
a
some
jet
weed.
setter. Yes,
She wants
she's.
to send me some weed.
I know she. Growing up, she was baffled by people who had to pay for it because she was friends with so many people who grew it that it was just handed to her. She
Wow.
never had to purchase.
Is she good looking?
Wow.
Because that helps. If you're a
She
good looking woman, you don't normally have to buy drugs.
Well, I think she would mostly get it from friends. I don't think. What do they call it? A strawberry? Isn't that when a woman trades sex for drugs?
Oh,
Honestly, I
heard
never
of
knew that, but
Yes.
I'm writing that
And
down
look,
as well.
She was
is
not that.
writing
Definitely
down
not.
Right now.
I've never heard that term. Strawberry means a woman who will have sex with you if you give her drugs.
Correct.
Okay. Have you ever heard that, Alison? No. Chris? No, no one's heard that term. Where'd that come from?
I don't.
Where did you grow up? One of those places, Oregon or California? Or
Yeah,
are
I
you
grew up
from
in
here?
California, Northern California, in the Emerald Triangle,
Hey,
Mendocino.
Here's Christian. Oh, he just disappeared. Hang on a sec. I'll call him back. Because he's the guy who books the music
You
on
said
the show.
the FCC called.
No, this is the guy, this is the guy who books Gandhi Castle.
Oh yeah,
So we'll see. This is our
Gandhi's
music.
walking around in the desert.
Yeah, so we'll see what he has to say about that. Anyway, where did you grow up, Julie? Hey,
Men-
Christian?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened to Gandhi Castle?
Huh?
Hello? What happened to Gandhi Castle?
They didn't show up?
No, they're not here, and you're actually on Happy Hour. So,
Probably my fault. I'll find out. I don't know what I could have done to botch it because they were so gung-ho. I must have...
I saw the email that said exactly where they were supposed to go and what time they were supposed to come here at. So, you're talking to Zach Smith and Julius Savant as well. This is Christian Unruh who books our music.
You messed up, buddy.
Hey, looks like I screwed up. I don't know
I don't-
why they're not...
I don't blame you on this one.
Yeah, I'll have to see where I went wrong. And maybe what? Today's the... No,
It's a Wednesday. We record the show on a Wednesday. That could be a bit of a mix-up.
Maybe they're coming
Maybe they got a
tomorrow.
different day. Yeah,
Or
maybe.
today.
we were dealing with the date, so...
Oh, I don't know what the date is today technically either.
The
It's a
ninth.
9th.
I guess is that I might have actually sent them an old file that had one of the other places on it.
Maybe they went to Casa Borrega where we used to go before we stopped going there, and we came here to Wayfair. Okay, well, see if you can figure out what happened, and if they show up in the next, few minutes, we can deal them in still.
All right, let me go over and try to find out.
Okay, all right, okay, later. Okay, bye. All right, so there's that. That's what
Yeah.
happened to Gandhi Castle. I'm pretty sure, I didn't read those emails that closely, but Christian books all these musicians, and normally they do show up, so there's a fair chance they'll show up.
Might be just a misunderstanding. That happens.
Yeah. Well, I must say, I couldn't find one single thing about them online, not even one entry on the World Wide Web. So, except
Well,
they have a Facebook page.
Gandhi didn't have a website when he was
And look
doing
at
his
him.
thing, and look at
He's
the
a
effect,
household fucking name.
look at the effect that he had. You know,
He doesn't show up for meetings anymore either, though.
No,
we
he,
don't know.
He doesn't.
We
he
don't
doesn't
know.
need
Maybe
to.
he's here. Maybe his spirit is here, and that's what's moving us.
Maybe he's right in that chair. We just don't see him.
Oh my goodness. So, Julie, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Mendocino, which is a small
Mendocino.
coastal town in Northern
God,
California.
that sounds romantic.
Beautiful up
Yes,
there.
it really is. My grandfather moved up there in the 50s to form sort of an artist's hamlet or an artist community.
He played Hamlet.
Well, he did found a theater as well, and he
He
played
did?
a lot of roles in the theater. So perhaps he did at some. Well, he was in his 40s by then, so maybe not Hamlet.
Well, I don't
but,
think people use the word Hamlet here. I mean, I know what you mean. It's a small town.
well, it was the population was 1,000 people, but only about maybe 300 really lived in town. Very small.
It's almost like the
Sounds like
AIGA website.
I'm
I
seeing
mean,
some
social media.
similarities
Yeah. Only 300 people lived there, but they had a population of 1,000. How do you figure
Well,
that?
because there was the actual village, and then on the other side of the highway there are sort of hills and forests that people live in as well.
Yeah, when you say the word highway, it kind of blows the whole thing. But anyway, there was a highway running through this beautiful, idyllic,
Right on the
bucolic
border.
hamlet.
Right on the border. Highway
And-
1. If you take Highway 1 up
Okay.
the coast of California, it's the most dangerous and nauseating drive you can take.
But a
you
pretty
feel like you're
drive.
gonna. It's beautiful. You
Yeah.
feel like you'll roll off the cliff, but it is a
Ah.
beautiful drive.
So where are we when we get to Mendocino? How far between LA and San Francisco?
It's north of San Francisco.
Oh, it's
about
past San Francisco. Oh, I see. Oh,
You're
it's
closer to
Northern
Portland
California.
and-
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it's about 3 hours north of San Francisco, in the
And-
redwoods, in the fog, and
What was the name of the hamlet?
Mendocino.
Oh, that was the original.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was
Your
founded
grandfather founded
in
Mendocino.
No. It was originally.
Zach, isn't that what she said?
No.
And I'm not even fucked
Sorry,
up at all.
I can't go there.
So
Are
he-
you? You did say
I'll
that.
back up. It was founded in, I believe, the early 1800s or 1830s,
Okay,
maybe.
just go back to what you said. Your grandfather.
Your grandfather got
Well,
there
let
in
me
the
start-
50s.
let me go into
when
the
he was
Yeah,
40.
but he founded a
Yes.
hamlet,
He founded an artists' community.
not an
And it sort of
actual
reshaped the entire town because it had been this fishing and logging village with a lot of Norwegian and Portuguese and Chinese immigrants who had been doing work for the mill and fishing.
That sounds pretty cool.
But that
What
work
was the food scene like there, I wonder?
at the time,
been
I
pretty
think
good.
a lot of mussels and salmon,
And
as it still is
Portuguese.
now.
What do the Portuguese eat?
Mussels and semen?
Salmon.
Oh,
Salmon.
I thought you had
I'm not
people
even-
on boats out there. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
What?
So
What did
the
the
mill
po-
closed down.
The
and-
mill closed down.
Yeah, so the town was sort of, the top population was sort of stagnating, and my grandfather moved there in the 50s, and then in the 70s, it
you
had
know-
blossomed enough as this artists community that they passed legislation for the town somehow that they founded a historical review board, so you couldn't make any changes to buildings without the approval of this review board. So therefore, it really got frozen in this sort of late 1800s farmhouse,
Hang on a sec. When did they pass that historical preservation?
early 70s, but it hadn't
The
been
1970s.
developed. Correct, but it hadn't
It
really
hasn't changed all that
it hadn't
time.
changed because it had been stagnating since the late 1800s. It
Kind of like the
hadn't
quarter.
grown.
Like you
Yeah.
can't build anything.
Okay.
over
You
a
can't build or
certain
change
height
anything. You can't
whatever.
paint your building a certain color.
So this
you know,
place hadn't changed since the 1800s, and
Correct.
it's on the seaside.
it's on the seaside, and that's why, if you
Wow.
ever watch the show Murder, She Wrote,
Yeah.
the town of Cabot Cove, which is supposed to be in New England, it was all filmed in Mendocino because
Okay.
it has these, New England architectural features, and it's very
Wow.
classic and old feeling.
Didn't know that.
And
How
it's been,
interesting.
Mendocino's been the site of a lot of different movies. One of the Body Snatchers film, or Invasion of the Body Snatch? No,
Mhm.
which one?
I
I'm not
mean,
into that one as much.
Amazing movie.
Many movies.
And this is where you grew up?
Yes.
And were they shooting movies there when you grew up there?
Yeah, I was in a movie which you will not have heard of called Pontiac Moon, and I ended up on the cutting room floor.
Looking it up.
you
Oh,
won't,
you
won't
weren't
see me in
actually
it. I played a brownie, I think, sitting on the schoolhouse steps. I was in 7th grade, and it had Ted Danson and Mary Steenburgen,
Oh.
who
They were a couple, I think. at
yeah,
some
they were,
point.
and they
Wow.
lived in town at the time, which I think is why
They
they filmed
lived
it there.
there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that must
Christopher
This is-
Lloyd lived there for a little
This
while.
is good stuff.
Christopher Lloyd was in Return to the Future, or whatever that's called. Back to the Future. Back to the
yes.
Future. Okay, so did you know these people growing up?
No, but I knew a couple of.
But did you see 'em
I
around?
knew a lot of relatives of celebrities. I knew Donna Reed's niece,
Okay, I'm writing that down. Donna Reed's niece.
Groucho Marx's daughter,
Groucho Marx's daughter.
and Mia Farrow's nieces.
Oh, now we're getting some.
Now we're getting juicy.
Now that's, yeah. Groucho Marx's daughter. I'm writing all these down. And Mia Farrow's nieces. Okay, so should we go through them one at a time?
No,
Who was Donna Reed anyway?
Donna Reed was Mary in It's a Wonderful Life, among other
Was
roles.
she really?
Yes.
Wow.
And
so-
her niece has just she's very young, and she's just now had her first child and gotten married.
Didn't
and
Donna Reed have a
she's
show
the
too?
nicest person I know. She did. I know that was what she's considered to be more famous for, but I've only seen her in It's a Wonderful Life.
Well, that's a classic, obviously a classic American movie. It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
that was,
I've learned more about this movie recently,
Okay.
and apparently it wasn't considered a classic until the 80s. It was a box office failure. It did not make its money back, and it was
Interesting.
considered forgotten until VHS, and it suddenly became something that they would put on syndication over the holidays. I know this because
Wow.
I am actually I've been cast in the NOLA Voice Talents annual production of It's a Wonderful Life, which they do. It's a benefit that they do as a fundraiser for local arts organizations. They're doing that on December 20th. I'm not playing Mary. I'm playing Violet Bick, who is the what's a nice way to say it?
You don't have to find a nice way to say it
The town
as far as-
temptress. She's like this. She's kind of like a.
she's in the bit where that's the town's gone to hell.
She is in that bit, but she's also in earlier scenes as a girl who's maybe on the edge.
Okay, see, I never liked that
Nice.
movie. Did you ever like the movie? I thought it was
I've
ridiculous.
seen it a few times,
It's so
here and there.
fucking stupid.
One of my favorite movies that's been revived from VHS and is now a classic is Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, man. They
I thought
show
that was
it on
just a saying.
TBS
Is that-
all the time, around the
Clash
fall.
of the Titans has-
the original one with Calabas with the tail and the really bad graphics of like the stop motion
Right.
stuff with Medusa.
And the
That-
skeletons?
the
Or
skele-
that's Jason and the Argonauts.
Yes. This is the one.
What's Clash of the Titans about?
Well, what is it, Hercules, or it's one of those guys has to go do all these different tasks to rescue a maiden who gets taken by this big bird from her room. He's got to cut the head off of Medusa, who he shows to the Kraken, and the Kraken comes out of the water and freezes and dies.
Hey, this sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Here's Christian calling back.
It's Perseus, right?
Perseus.
Now that movie
yes.
it shows female breasts, doesn't it? There's a scene with a mother nursing or something.
Maybe.
I remember hearing of it as being one of the last PG films that showed
Oh, really?
female breasts, because it was sort of at the end of the 70s where you were freer to show those things on film.
You
And then in the
listen to this,
80s,
Christian?
the moral majority started
now-
managing the MPAA and
and
saying
now
you
you
can't show
can't.
any female form at all.
Now you can't. That's horrible.
So what was one
That,
of the
that
last...
may be why I liked it so
It's
much
Clash
when I
of
was
the
12.
Titans. Hey, Christian, what's going on with Gandhi Castle?
Gandhi Castle is getting there promptly when they were told, which is 5 o'clock Eastern time. So that's 4 o'clock. I'm sorry, 5 o'clock Central time. I don't know. There was a time zone issue.
Are they flying in from the East Coast
Yeah,
or
this
something?
is a big gig for them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they're coming from India, maybe. Do you know in India they have the time is off by a half hour? Did you know that? That's-
Indiana.
Really off by
No, both.
not that long.
Okay, so
I
they're...
should be there shortly. I take full responsibility for the.
Okay. Well, this is all your fault. Okay. Well, will be interesting to see what they're like when they get here. Are they going to play and everything?
Yeah, I think they're.
They're ready to rock. Okay. All right, Christian. Well, thanks, man.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay. See you later. Bye. All right, so they're on the way. Okay, so Clash of the Titans was the last film with female breasts in
I
it.
don't know if it was the last, but with the PG rating, because the idea being that was totally appropriate for kids until people decided that,
I've got a stupid question, but it might be interesting. How do you know that?
My husband is a film buff.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And he's very big in Clash of the Titans.
Great movie.
That's interesting. I really don't know anything about it. So you've watched Clash of the Titans quite a lot then, I assume.
No. He
watches
stays up
it by
late and
himself.
watches movies over and over again, and I go to bed early.
Wow, really?
11 o'clock is considered pretty early
And
in
he
our
stays
house.
up all night because he was on our show.
Yes, he was.
He's got some fake name.
Mason James Cole.
Mason James Cole. He's an author.
Okay.
And he's made that name up completely, but he told us that he stays up all night.
MJC.
MJC.
Yeah.
He goes-
good,
yeah.
good,
He
great
stays
guy.
up all night writing, and you guys have a kid or something.
That's right. We have an 11-year-old.
11?
Yes, and he's very interested in the idea of making films. So sometimes he'll show me a movie and he's dissecting it. So he'll shout out like, "Oh, nice transition," or "Look, foreshadowing."
Oh, yeah.
Wow, okay, pretty good for 11.
That is good.
That is good. Hey, so anyway, so you're the president of the AIGA, which has over 500,000 members and only 27,000 of them pay out. You're the president of the New Orleans chapter.
The worst way to phrase it. Well, I'm the president of the New Orleans chapter, which has
Now, this is
about
a job.
200 members. It's not a job. It's a volunteer position. But it is what I spend the majority of my time doing because it's what I find I'm most passionate about. At this point, I've been a designer for about 8 years, and at this point I prefer doing this leadership role, organizational stuff, getting sponsorships, planning events. I prefer this a lot more. I prefer it over sitting at a computer and creating a flyer.
What do designers design exactly?
Designers design probably a lot more than you would think they would. Anything that you see that has been created and has any kind of an informational hierarchy or a message that it's trying to convey, there was a designer behind that, whether they identify as a designer or not.
Do they design books?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there would be a publication designer or a layout designer.
Zach has a book coming out.
I've designed
Really?
probably a dozen
Good
books.
segue.
I've laid out
You
out
have,
many
really?
books. Oh, yes.
It's actually not a book.
Oh, it's not a book.
It's an exhibit. But
Oh, shit.
let's talk about
I thought it was a book.
It possibly could be a good book.
I thought it was going to be like a coffee table book. It's not. It's an exhibit.
You need a secretary to read your emails.
I totally do. Well, these guys, Gandhi Castle, usually do all my reading for me. So it's called My Louisiana Muse, and it's an exhibit that's going to be at the
Jazz and Heritage Gallery on 1205 North Rampart, right at Governor Nichols.
Okay, and if you're listening to the
It's a
show
beautiful space.
anytime around about the 12th of September 2015, which is a few
Yeah.
days away only.
Yeah,
but people listen to this thing
it's
all
right upon us.
Yeah, but people listen to these shows all back and forward for years. So
Yeah.
if it's around about September 2015, after the 12th, how long will the show be up for?
Yeah, the show will be up till October 7th, but
Okay.
right now, the concept, the idea, the images live online. And at my website, zachsmith.photography, you can find an easy link
Dot
to
photography?
Mhm. You can
That's
find a link to My Louisiana Muse. Well, you can do zachsmith.com as well.
Yeah, just go with that.
I just thought it was cool to
It
get the
is
dot
cool, but that's a
photography.
whole. You have to write the whole word photography after the dot.
You do, but you do it once, and then it's your favorite website, and your browser saves it for
Okay.
you.
I didn't know there was a dot photography. Is there dot gynecology and
I am
other
a
stuff?
a pioneer.
You
I'm like
can't- you
the
can't make
Lewis
up
and
your-
Clark of website.
You can't make up your own
domains,
domain
man.
name, though, can you? You can't
No,
make
somebody did, and someone else told me about it, and I bought it.
Wow, dot photography. Okay.
Mhm.
That's a pretty good idea because your company is called, I suppose, Zach Smith Photography, is it?
Zach Smith Photography.
So
yes,
now
it is.
Zach Smith dot photography or ZachSmith.com, which is easy to remember. And so you have all these photos up.
Yeah,
there.
basically the My Louisiana Muse project is
Have a look, Julia.
is one part of, as we were talking about workshops earlier. So I do a lot of commercial and advertising photography. I do a lot of workshops, but I also do fine art work, which is more of my, which feeds my soul, my visual storytelling, where I've taken 14 Louisiana artists and figured out the questions to ask them to know where they get their inspiration from and how that deals with Louisiana and the land. So
Okay.
through images and through stories on this website and at the show at the Jazz and Heritage Gallery, I've tried to paint that picture of why and where Louisiana artists are inspired.
So you've followed these people home or to their place of inspiration, not necessarily their home, but somewhere in the state that inspires them.
Well, what I've done, I had a series of 10 questions that I sent to 14 artists that I respected, looked up to, and wanted to learn more about.
Right.
And also that I felt that the world needed to know more about.
Okay.
And I asked them questions such as, the softball questions like, where are you from? What do you do?
That's two
kind
questions
of the stuff
right there.
kind of the stuff we've been talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Okay.
Just like getting into
You
the
wasted two questions with what's your name and where are you from or something?
Right, yeah, but you want to ease into the interview. You want to ease
You've only
into
got
the
8
questions.
left.
Oh yeah, but by number 4 and 5, we're rocking.
We're into it, okay.
We're both bawling, crying. We've got the Kleenex out. It's
What's number 3 and 4
tearjerker.
then?
In no particular order,
Oh,
it is
okay.
what is your medium?
That's
And
another
also,
easy one you could answer with before you. See, what
Right.
do you want to ask questions you know the answer to, or do you want to ask questions you don't
Well,
know the
I
answer
ask the questions that I know the answer to, but talking to an artist, I only know about them and what they put out. As an artist, your inspiration, your medium can change depending on what you're seeing. So I've got to figure out where these artists are at right
to?
now.
Hang on a second. Medium means like
The tools- the
you're
tools
a
you have.
photographer,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you're a designer. Your stuff is on paper. Your medium is paper, say, and your medium is prints or photography, or
me-
online or whatever.
Yeah, my medium could be prints. My medium could be a workshop. Could be a camera. It's the way I deliver the message.
Okay, so I thought the medium was the format was
Like
the piece of
the-
paper. Yeah,
the
it's-
piece of paper?
It's not. Or the TV or film.
Well,
or radio.
you think about it. Photography, it's so broad. We could talk about photography.
Dot photography.
And I could be a commercial photographer and never make a print. So if you think I'm a photographer,
Okay.
I want to tell you that, yeah, I'm a photographer and my clients' work exists online, but what I really do care about is the print.
Yeah. Hey, look, here's a beautiful.
Because the
print here.
proof
Look at
is
that.
in the print. And this is actually
Oh,
one of
that's
the
so
images,
cool. Look at
the way
that.
that it starts with the bromoil process, which is the process that I'm using for my Louisiana Muse.
Bromoil. That's
Bromoil.
your medium.
It's for this project. Yeah.
That could be a good name for your next record for Rotary Downs. Bromoil is my medium.
Or, yeah, ... is my medium.
Dot photography. What is bromoil? That is a great photo of an old Zydeco accordion.
So
is
this
that,
is Goldman
is that
Thibodeau.
Boozoo or something?
Goldman
Thibodeau.
Thibodeau. Yeah, so this is that same
Oh,
image
look at that.
bleached.
Okay.
What I do is I bleach the emulsion, the ink from the image,
Yeah.
and I re-ink the emulsion with lithography inks, where I can take a traditional black and white image and put color into it. I know your listening audience is saying,
What the fuck
Zach,
is he
this is
talking
radio. Yeah, but you
Yeah.
can go to ZachSmith.photography and go to the My Louisiana Muse section and see exactly what I'm talking about with my blog that I regularly update.
Okay, so, but the process is you take a photo, you bleach all the color out of it. It was black and white. It started out in black and white. And you bleach
Yeah.
the color out, and then you replace that with, what do you say, lithography? That's actual brush strokes?
Lith
Or-
ink. Yeah,
or-
I apply, there's a few ways you can apply the ink. You can apply the ink by brushes, a hog hair brush,
Hog
which
hair.
is called a dapple effect, or a roller.
Okay.
I do a combination of both, and then I move around the ink with saran wrap, erasers, my finger,
Wow.
paper towels.
So you're
Yeah.
like a painter.
Yeah, it's like you're painting, and in the essence,
Okay.
I'm using this new technique to tell a different and deeper layer of the story about Louisiana artists.
That is really super cool.
Yeah, man,
And that's
thank
a
you.
beautiful looking thing. So you've actually, it's a painting. It's a photo and a painting.
Yes.
Hey, look who's here. Gandhi.
Enlighten us, Gandhi.
Gandhi,
Castle.
just like I pictured him. Zach, that is cool. So Zach Smith photography or ZachSmith.com.
Yeah,
Not
however you're feeling.
ZachSmithphotography.com. Or
No.
just Google Zach, Z-A-C-H. Hey, Jeremy.
Z-A-C-K.
This is Jeremy Marks, you guys. Come on in. Are you related to Groucho Marx, Jeremy?
No relation.
Because we have
Because this
someone
is
that
Julia.
knows.
Julia knows
yeah.
Groucho Marx's daughter.
Nice to meet you guys.
Hey, Jeremy, nice to meet you. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
Nice of you to show up. Put on a pair of headphones.
I think that's yours.
Yeah, and Jeremy, I'm Grant.
Nice to
Pleased
meet you.
to meet you.
Grant.
Hey, Jeremy, I'm Zach.
this is
Nice
Zach.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys.
And this is Julia. That's Allison, our photographer.
Hey, Allison.
And Chris back here. And so thanks for showing it. So we talked to Christian. We had Christian on the show, and he told us that he screwed up, he said. He told you the wrong time or something?
Yeah, he told me 5, and I told him apparently it was 4. He told me 5.
He told you 5.
Maybe he was thinking
He books
Eastern
the show.
time.
You know, this is like our 3rd or 4th year, or I don't even know what
Yeah.
year it is we've been doing
Does
this
he
show.
live on the East Coast?
He
Maybe.
spent a lot of time traveling. I will say that.
Maybe he's watching Colbert last night.
That's what
Got
did
his-
it?
Yeah, Eastern time.
Well, you
Everyone
never know.
shows.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that he screwed you up like
Well,
that.
no,
But you
it's
made
cool,
it
it's
just
cool,
in time.
But, you know,
That's awesome.
I live down the street.
Oh my God!
So
you
I-
could have walked here.
I did walk.
You did
here.
walk here.
Yeah.
I'm
it
so-
was pretty much just a matter of walking my normal pace, New Orleans pace, or fast.
But just
So-
you needed to know the right time.
Well,
That's
we're
all.
from the band has actually moved here from Boston, so you know we know
Okay.
how to hustle. We know how to hustle.
All right.
Walk fast.
Well, I'm glad you moved here
Yeah, it's great to
because
be.
we've got a lot of questions for you that we've come up with in your absence.
Excellent.
What's your name?
I'm Jeremy Marks.
What's your medium?
my medium? I'm a guitarist.
Zach, what's the next question?
Guitarist and a singer.
Okay, next
And
question.
and in your history of using the guitar as your way to spread your songs, your message, and whatnot, what subject matter do you find that most connects you to the song?
I guess for me, I follow current events and news and politics really closely, and I feel like, in some respect, like if you are absorbing like what's going on in the world, what's going on around you, I feel like it has to influence your songwriting.
Now that's I wasn't expecting that answer at all.
Also, just like relationships with people.
That's more standard, right?
Yeah, I know it is more standard, but I mean, there are good songs out there about the same experience with like a significant other or whatever, and it kind of lends itself to, kind of the same story but with different circumstances surrounding it, and then lyrically that'll kind of start to lend itself to a lot of cliches and a lot of repetition. That's kind of not something I really like to hear.
There's only so many
when I
ways you can
listen.
say I want to fuck you or I love you or you broke my
Yeah,
heart or whatever, but
yeah.
people seem to keep doing it.
It's the
Well,
same
I'm-
thing with a different accent.
I like hearing it, in new ways too. I mean, some people write great songs about that kind of thing. For me, I just kind of try to find, I guess, some aspect of a relationship or, with just some other person or some event.
Right. Well, we were talking before you got here about the art of asking questions and what questions you can ask, because Zach's been working on a project where he goes around asking artists 10 questions. And the first 3 were what's your name and what's your medium, and then So I think the second one was I missed one out or something. How tall are you?
Yeah. What
You-
color are your eyes?
Yeah, what's your
Something
favorite?
dumb.
Who's your favorite Beatle? That's
Well,
question number 4.
I mean, since we're on the radio, I can say I'm 6'4".
Yep. You are 6'4".
Yeah, and
And-
everyone at the table can
Yes.
attest to that. I
We're-
walked
We're actually
in,
looking up to you right
Yeah.
now.
strapping,
You're a great looking guy.
towering
Yeah.
over everyone that I
So,
walked by.
so you moved here from Boston. So what's our next? So anyway, most people's songs in this singer-songwriter business are not informed by current events. That's very unusual, I would think,
Yeah.
except for like Bob Dylan, maybe.
Well, also, I think it's all. I love the singer-songwriter genre. I don't know if that's really like Gandhi Castle. I don't really think falls into that genre. I mean, the band itself, you know, like I'm by myself now representing the band.
Where's the
but,
rest of the castle? They're back at the pad there.
Yeah, they
on
all
the
thought it
street?
was 5'2", but they couldn't get off the couch as fast as I could. You know.
Weed smokers.
Yeah. It's,
So
I
I'm
knew
always
it. Just-
seeing.
just
only
like
in,
Julia's
only in
mom.
Colorado and Washington, but you know it
Right, not when
it
it's
lingers.
illegal.
It
Right.
lingers.
So you're
So-
probably the guy that books the gigs. You
Uh,
probably
well, you-
drive a lion's share of the van.
I do a
duties.
lot of
You
driving.
probably handle the money after the gig.
Yeah, I
can
handle some
tell.
money.
I
Yeah,
can tell.
Well, I guess that would imply there is money though. So
Wait, we're not getting
Yeah.
paid for this?
Well, I don't know about that. I hope we are. Are we?
I hope you guys are.
I hope we are
Um,
too. If we're just doing this for fun, we just pull the plug
Yeah,
now and
that's-
go home.
yeah.
Well, we gotta get free drinks. So, would you like a free drink?
Maybe
You
after
gotta
I
have
sing.
a beer
oh
or something,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
Afterwards.
afterwards. Oh, well, you're like a professional. You're serious. Okay, I'm gonna give Zach one more question, then I'm gonna ask you to play something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something I've been dying to ask you since you got here.
Okay.
So you know the songs that you write about are current events and things that a lot of people can relate to, and you talk about the band you have. You know, Gandhi Castle. It involves 2 other guys, so they bring their own influences, inspirations, ideas to the table. Does the music come first, or do the lyrics and the story help write the music? It's a chicken or egg thing. Which one comes first for Gandhi Castle?
I think usually the music. We all met and we were instrumentalists studying at New England Conservatory. We were studying jazz.
Oh, wow. So
And
you guys
which-
are all trained musicians.
Yeah, we all have jazz performance degrees. And so I think a lot of the inspiration just kind of came from us just listening to rock music. And I think the singing thing really didn't come in till we started writing lyrics to go along with some of these riffs, and also just the fact that, you know, since Gandhi Castle is really tightly collaborative, like, you know, it doesn't matter who comes up with the first, you know, riff or the first lyric, like everyone gets a third of the credit.
Very democratic then.
Yeah, and I mean it's just
Well,
kind
there's
of
only
like
3 of them, so
yeah.
if
Well,
you've got
I
an
mean, it's
extra
just-
guy, that would be 2.
Yeah,
That's
it's,
right.
but also the lyrics, you know, when we think of them, they're subject to a lot of intense scrutiny from the other band members, and we're pretty honest. They're just like, hey, like what you just said, like I don't know if that really works. I think it's too cliche. We can find a better way. I don't like it, and you kind of have to, you know, put your own ego at the door.
You got to defend your stuff, or the ego.
No,
does it?
no. You I mean, you naturally want to defend yourself and take control. I think a lot of artists tend to want to do that. But I mean, in order to be a band that works efficiently, you can't do that. You have to relinquish creative control to your bandmates,
Yeah.
and that's what makes me better is playing with those guys. You know.
So how do you feel about sitting here with the guitar by yourself?
Oh, I love it though. You know, like I love playing solo guitar, and you know, I like trying to take these songs, and this is kind of how I also just like practice being better.
You can
A
practice on us.
better band leader for Gandhi
Okay.
Castle
Well,
by playing.
Julie,
by
you get the
myself.
first question when we come back. Okay.
All right.
You got the first question for Jeremy Marks from Gandhi Castle.
Rattle bones into the ground, sanctify your space. spirits rule the sounds. Smoke covers your face. The mountains call my name. The desert sound expels me into my final place. But I don't waste my time to wonder why you send me away. Pass that thing around. It's how I'd like to end my day. The ceremony will begin. The circle starts to spin. The spirits cannot stay. Give me one more chance. I'll grab your hand and we can dance amongst moonbeams and grace. But I don't waste my time. I wonder why you sent me away. When thoughts collapse and fixtures come batting you, it's starting to break. And the middle might divide the circle into two, but we'll stay awake. But when night falls and I can't inspire you to follow my way, took 2 steps and we took off like blazing burns. Just look forward and make demands without a word. Bow and lean like rows of trees right where we stand. Let's step out and walk a while. They'll understand. It doesn't make me wonder, lest I recognize impurity in dirt we work to synthesize. And so can we in socialize beyond this folk. Undoubted minds uncompromised, yet none have spoke. Not like I've always gotta stay. I grew up needing to travel. Not like I'm trying to go away.
Jeremy Marks
Thank you.
from Gandhi Castle. Very nice. What do you
Thank you.
call that song?
So that was 2 songs put together.
It was a medley.
Yeah, it was a medley. And both of those songs are off of our latest EP. So it's pretty much a 2-song EP entitled Peyote Rattle.
Peyote Rattle. We got the whole CD.
Yeah, so
Peyote Rattle.
the first song was
Okay.
Peyote Rattle, and the second song was Retainer.
And Peyote Rattle and Retainer. Okay.
Yeah.
They weren't really questions. They were just sort of details. I said, Julia, you could have the first question. Then I'm going to have to get you to play one more thing behind me while I do the these commercials. Can you do that?
Oh, yeah.
Come up with some sort of
Oh, yeah.
instrumental thing.
Oh, I got you.
Julia, you get one question. What's it going to be?
Sure. So I wanted to ask you, do you think that getting this, degree in jazz performance, you said, whether that was worth it for you, whether you recommend it for people? But I decided you don't seem like the kind of person to make blanket declarative statements about other people's lives, recommendations. So what I would ask is, what kind of a person, what kind of an aspiring performer do you think can benefit from that conservatory experience?
I mean, there's no question that there's a lot of benefits from studying music. Just being around musicians and teachers that are better than you is how you get better. There's a notion that just sitting around and practicing by yourself is the way to do it and learn everything, and you can learn what you learn in school by yourself. And I don't think that's entirely true. I think I would be lying if I said that, everything that I can do.
Well, you can
Like,
totally
I
lie
learned
if
it.
it's a bit of story.
Yeah,
We don't care about that.
I learned
It's a bar.
everything from a teacher, from ultimately in music school. I mean, I think today, like, it's definitely, I would advise anyone to like really consider the kind of like loans that are involved, paying for a private education involved in music, and oftentimes the lack of financial return you might get on that.
That's
But,
a good point. Did you rack up a whole bunch of loans that you now have to pay off playing this kind of music every night?
Yeah, I mean, all
sounds like a
three of us
tall
had
order.
to. I mean, it's private school.
So how much are you in debt for now? Then?
I mean, however much 4 years of tuition is.
Well,
I guess.
you would know that. How much is it?
The NEC was like, most private schools they're like $30,000 a year or something.
So you're 120 grand on the whole.
I
For a
don't
degree
really
in
want to go
singer-songwriter.
into. Yeah. Well, it's a jazz performance degree.
Okay, but even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, what jazz musician made any $120,000 in the last 10 years? Except for the ones whose names we know already.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, that's a tough
I don't
gig.
know.
120,000 grand to make it.
Well, I don't know.
jazz.
I'm not going to really disclose.
Your financial
yeah,
situation.
my financial situation. Whether it's
Why is
really
that?
high or if it's really low, I don't know.
Well, if it would be
It's a
convenient for me
personal
to
thing.
interrupt,
Yes.
maybe
Yeah.
Grant, I could ask if I could take a
but
minute. to do a
I will
plug.
say,
Yes.
what I think it's definitely a worthwhile, but
Well, it
time
wouldn't be a
investment.
worthwhile investment
but-
if you spent $120,000, quite frankly.
Well, I don't know
Except
about
unless
that.
you got a great
What if you get a
education.
good job?
What if you got a gig in a band? If you're really good and you got a gig in a band.
Look, man, most
And you
law
spent
school
4
students
years-
are coming out far more in debt than jazz musicians.
Yeah, but they got a chance at billing at $300 an hour. If
not these days. There's a lot of
Not really?
lawyers. There's a lot of lawyers out there today.
Yeah, that's
man.
true. But you got a chance at it at least. Even though you're completely delusional, you still think you're going to be a great lawyer or a judge. You're going to make a huge amount of money. You could be a giant, famous jazz musician. It is possible.
I mean, anything's possible.
Right. The chances are against it, though. $120,000 in the hole to start with is pretty tough to.
There's a lot of ways to make money in music. I think we're focusing too much on him performing to make that money back. There's sync licensing, there's royalties, there's
You could
film,
do it.
TV commercials, there's
I think,
teaching.
yeah, you teach. I mean, I teach. Like, I enjoy it. It's a great way to make money as an artist. It's also a great way to. I think I learn a lot when I teach too. It kind of like it makes me think about what I'm telling people, like what I know and how well I really know it, and am I really like, in a place where I can give people advice. But I think the overarching point is that it's if you're gonna be trying to be an artist full time, it's definitely. I mean, you should think about the financial undertaking of going to school. I mean, but every family and every person's different, and
So you would advise someone against being $120,000?
No.
You say no, you wouldn't.
No.
You say go for it.
I'd say
Spend the $120,000.
I'd say think about it. Think about it, and
Well,
then
what
if
side
you,
of the argument are you on? You say think about it in a good sense and don't do it, or be warned that this is going to be difficult when you get out. Now you're on the other side of it, or go for it and spend the 120 because you're going to get a great education and worry about that later. One of those two.
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm running for president or something.
Well, I
man.
think
This
what he
is
said
like
originally about
current events.
about
you
the
know.
benefits for how much it can teach you and help you
Yeah,
grow.
I
I
mean,
think
only
he's saying
speak
bad
for himself.
musicians need to go to a conservatory. They're the ones who
Well,
can benefit from.
well, see, one thing that's really happened with the whole conservatory and the music school and the "you can do it too" attitude is it's created a lot of people that think that, oh, you know, I don't know what I'm doing in my life. Maybe I'll go to music school. They go there, and then, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, if I get my training, then I can be a musician. But the bottom line is the people who are going to be musicians are going to be musicians whether they go to school for it or not. My path, personally, I wouldn't have lasted in a 4-year, like, college doing homework and all that shit. Like, I couldn't do it. I had to focus solely on music. And lucky, you know, my family supported my decision. And, you know, and I think both of my roommates would probably say, though, you know, even though, like, I mean, getting a bachelor's degree, like, for any, you know, sometimes when you tell people, like, oh, I have a jazz performance degree, they might be like, I don't know if you're right for this job, but, you know, like...
You mean if you're applying for a music
or just
job,
any, you know, you
like
got to get a job, you got to pay the bills, you know,
right,
man.
so you're
And
talking about applying for a regular job, like a regular 9-to-5 job, when they find out you have a degree in jazz performance.
Yeah, you know, sometimes
What
they
do
give you...
What do people think about someone who has a degree in jazz performance?
I mean, it's obviously like, you know, I've been in job interviews and you're just like, oh, you're an unlikely candidate, and I'm just like, yeah, but you know, like, my whole, you know, day-to-day routine as a musician is essentially problem solving and working with people and
What sort of gig are
dealing
you
with
applying?
logistics.
What sort of
or
gigs are you
just
applying
like,
for?
Man, I filled out a lot of job applications in
What are you
my
looking for?
life.
Because we could hook you up here. Someone
Oh,
listening
yeah?
to this might have a job.
I'm looking for something. I don't know that, you know, ultimately you just want. I mean, that's one thing I like about teaching is, I mean, and obviously having a degree in music to teach music helps. But you know,
Yeah.
teaching is really anything that's flexible, so you can play your gigs and have time to practice. And,
What about being a music teacher in schools? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah. I mean, like universities have music school. Music teachers. You know, also I will say this though, most of my teachers at the New England Conservatory did not get degrees. They were not graduates of music school. They were just musicians.
The people who were teaching you. That's
Yeah.
ironic.
So
The
it
School of
is.
Life. They graduated from the School of Life.
Did you learn to take photos, Zach, somewhere, or did you just teach yourself on the job or from apprenticeships?
All of the above. I taught myself how to develop film, but I also mentored with photographers who knew what they were doing, and I also went to different workshops. So
Right. But you never went
Right.
to like a photography school, like a
no,
formal education.
no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, listen, Jeremy, you want to play something in the background there
Oh,
for me?
sure.
So I can just read these sponsor messages about the people who made today's show possible. Just anything a little sort of, you know, that's perfect. Today's show is brought to us by Petite Pet Care. If you're going out of town or have $120,000 later, and this is what it's reduced to, playing behind an ad for Petite Pet Care. You can get hold of the folks at Petite Pet Care at petitepetcare.com, and they'll take care of your pet in his or her own home. For loving care when you're not there, check them out at petitepetcare.com. Thanks also to Basic Swim and Gym. This is for you, Julie. We can get a full range of fashion swimsuits, workout, and yoga clothes with style. Basic Swim and Gym is on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue, and thanks to Hangover Destroyer, the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. Go to the website, Hangover Destroyer's website, that is, it's called hdestroyer.com. You can write Happy Hour in the coupon code and get yourself 30% off of Hangover Destroyer, and you too can seize the dawn, and thank you too to unlistednorther.com, the revolutionary new way to buy a house in New Orleans. If you know what you're looking for, you can find your perfect match before it comes on the market. It's the match.com of real estate. It's unlistednorther.com. Jerry Marks from Gandhi Castle. Thank you very much. How did you come up with a name like Gandhi Castle?
Well, our original name was actually Sentry.
Sentry.
Yeah, Sentry.
Okay.
And
What was wrong with that? somebody else called Century?
Oh yeah, a
Bad,
lot of Century.
bad SEO choice.
Bad. Bad
Interesting.
LLC choice, bad
Ah,
trade,
okay.
bad. Also, I think we kind of grew out of it. You know, like we started the band. So like, I mean, a little bit of, you know, band history. One of my favorite courses in music school. We started the band kind of playing between the three of us, and you know, just playing at random jazz sessions or whatnot. And then we kind of started realizing that rock music was kind of a common interest for all of us, and so we decided, like, hey, like, let's actually just try doing some of it. Like, let's do it.
Let's
And
rock
so
it.
yeah, exactly. So we started trying just to play what, you know, our own interpretation of rock music, given you know, how much jazz and free improv music we were playing and studying, and kind of see, like, you know, what came about. And then we named the band Century, and we did like a demo and you know, one other thing. And then when we moved down here, I guess we kind of felt like we needed a fresh start.
Gandhi
And-
Castle's a good name, don't you
Yeah.
think, guys? Zach?
And
I think it's
we're
pretty
the
good.
only Gandhi Castle out
Yeah.
there.
Julie, you like it?
I like it.
Design-wise, what would you say they should do for a logo or a poster or something?
Oh, I don't think that bands always need a logo. I think what bands need is what I would call a logo type or a word mark, which is just a stylization of the lettering. There's no reason for them to have like a funny little
Okay.
icon of like a guy in
Like
round glasses with a crown
a-
on.
Like
Name.
a robe.
That's
Yeah,
a good idea, though. Guy in round glasses with a crown
No,
on.
but
Yeah.
it's not.
We
You
like-
want
It's a
people-
stupid idea.
Because branding and logos are all about conveying the personality of the business. With a music act, you want people to just remember the music, and the more you're distracting them with visuals, you're muddying the waters.
Right.
Ah, very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I
Cool.
She knows her
agree.
stuff.
Yeah.
She knows her
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, you know, for me, like, the artwork, especially that the bassist Oliver Watkinson, that he does, you know, is kind of a big part of, like, you know, like the name, and, like, you know, if we
Well,
have
we're
an
going to have to
album,
listen.
then-
We have to listen to this music, the whole thing, then, to get the full effect. So where do we
Yeah.
find it?
So you go to gandhicastle.bandcamp.com,
Oh,
or
Jesus,
you can,
that's too goddamn confusing.
or you can just go to SoundCloud and look for Gandhi Castle.
Just
and it's on there.
Google.
Just Google.
Yeah,
Gandhi.
why
that,
don't you
bro.
guys have a website?
Most of our internet traffic and, like, people who are buying music, and also people aren't really buying the digital music
no one's
anyhow.
buying anything,
So
yeah,
we
right.
just, like, really needed the best way to stream the
Yeah,
music,
yeah, they need
and
to
for
screw
people
around with the website.
who are to stumble upon it. And
Yeah.
those kind of mediums are usually the
Yeah,
best.
you're right. So listen, what is the correct spelling of the word Gandhi?
So this is GANDHI.
Okay, that's what I thought. Chris and I were having a discussion about this before, because I have it both ways on this piece of paper. I've got GHANDI, and then I've got GANDHI.
Yeah.
But it's actually Gandhi.
Yeah,
Is the
it's
correct
deceptive.
spelling.
I know.
Okay, thanks.
You know,
That's
one
tricky.
great thing out of this whole thing is I've learned how to spell his name properly. Can you know?
Well, if
I
nothing
can
else-
tell you, most people who set up, you know, boards and advertising outside of clubs where we play do not know how to spell his name.
I would think
Usually
that's a very
Is there a lot of
interesting-
market confusion with the other band that's called Gandhi Castle, but it's spelled GH?
yeah,
The
yeah.
Gandhi
Those guys,
Castle.
Gandhi.
Well,
Those
that-
guys,
the-
the
they didn't
losers,
go
don't
to
see
college
them.
at all.
No.
You know, that's what that's
Those
the real
guys are a bunch of
consequence
fucking
you
losers.
know.
They probably went to some sort of LSU or something, right?
Probably.
Is there a music school
No,
that
they went to law school.
Yeah, exactly.
This is how they're making their money back, by ripping off you guys.
Hey, Julia Savant,
Yes.
what are you doing that we should know about in the world out there, with the AIGA world?
Right. Well, AIGA, as the national organization, they have an annual conference called the AIGA Design Conference that takes place at a different city every year. And this year, it's in New Orleans for the first time since 1997.
Jesus, we waited a long time to get to that.
Yes. So from October 8th to 10th, they're taking over the Hyatt Regency. They're going to have a lot of programming within the building. The conference itself, you can register for at aiga.org. And then as a chapter, as AIGA New Orleans, the host chapter, we have a lot of our own events that we're staging around this conference. A lot of exciting things that you don't have to pay anything for. You can just attend. On Wednesday night, we're having a Dribble meetup. Dribble with 3 Bs is a portfolio network for it's a portfolio network for designers. It's show and tell for designers, and they've generously sponsored this party for us at the Little Gem Saloon. So it's 7 p.m. we're going to have a speaker who's a typographer named Nikki Villagomez. She's going to give a lecture about how culture affects typography. It's a very popular lecture that she's given all over the country.
How culture affects typography.
Mm-hmm. So she's going to tailor it to New Orleans. She's using images from the @NolaType Instagram account, and she's going to talk about, you know, the legacy of type in New Orleans and how it's been influenced by
my
New Orleans
God.
culture.
How much weed do we have? I mean, is there enough weed in the world to sit through that, do you think?
You know, we're looking for all kinds of sponsors. So if you know somebody,
Okay.
an in-kind sponsor maybe, who'd be willing to put out doses for roughly 200 attendees, we'd love to get in touch with them.
Okay.
On Thursday night, we're hosting...
Do you have any weed, Jeremy, for that?
Probably not enough.
I'm sorry, what?
That sounds pretty tough going to me.
On Thursday night,
Typography.
there's going to be an event called the Adobe Creative Jam. Adobe, the software company, is the premier software company for designers. It's really all that 99% of them use, is going to be throwing a gigantic party. We're mostly sure it's going to be at the Joy Theater. They just need to put the final cross the T and dot the I on the contract. But that's going to be a gigantic
Okay.
party where they're going to have a speaker or two, and they're going to have a live design competition between a bunch of different teams in two categories, visual design and motion design. So those people are going to be creating fresh art
Yeah, this is
while
pretty
everybody's
cool.
enjoying the party, and then they're going to display the art at the end of the evening for the crowd to judge and pick a favorite from.
And this is free for anyone to just
It's
go
free
to?
for anyone to come to.
I'm a big fan of the Creative Cloud. Adobe's got a good thing going, and as a photographer working today, you know, it's a must. You get all your applications in one thing. You're always connected through the cloud, and you can share with your clients and friends.
So let's go to that then. What about it?
Let's go, Grant.
And
Okay.
then
Let's just get the date
That's
right.
at the Joy. What date? This is
at the Joy. That'll be-
2015. Let's get that
Yeah,
straight
that's,
for a start.
That's going to be Thursday, October 8th,
October-
and then on Friday, October 9th.
What time? So we'll get
that'll
Christian
be
involved.
That's actually going to be late. That's going to be around 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Central.
Eastern time.
Exactly.
just tell me.
Yeah. We'll
And
get-
then on October
okay.
9th, which is Friday, we're going to have a party in combination with NOLA Tech Week and New Orleans DNA, which if you don't know it, I recommend everybody go to neworleansdna.com. There's a wonderful guy named Joseph Makos who's got a gigantic collection of print publications
I've
from
actually
the past.
done a portrait of Joseph.
That's right. You
and
took
his
his
collection.
mhm,
What an
and it's
interesting guy! And
I know he would love to be
collection.
on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grams upon
Get
you.
that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
Okay.
So we're going to be throwing a party at the Dragon's Den. We're going to have
Holy
DJs
crap, there's a lot
on
of
3
parties.
stages.
Is
Yes.
there any actual
Well, you
work
know-
getting
Those
done?
designers, man. You
Yeah,
know.
designers do love to drink, and I know for a fact that this conference has sold registrations faster and higher than any conference in recent memory because everybody wants to come to New Orleans to party.
Is
So
there
we
a
feel
lot
a
of-
bit of an obligation to ruin everybody's morning.
Wow.
Every
Well, this
morning.
is where you need Hangover Destroyer. Go to hdestroyer.com.
HDestroyer.com.
You get a whole
Do you think we
bunch
could
of
get a
them.
coupon code for the conference
Yeah,
attendees?
we'll just
All right,
write in
great.
happy hour and get whatever the hell it is, 30%
All right, excellent.
off.
I will let
And
everybody
that
know.
totally works, by the way, Hangover Destroyer, in case you're considering trying it. Hey, so listen, is there a lot of pressure on you to make this thing great then? Seeing you're the chapter president here in New Orleans and the whole thing's in New Orleans?
Well, there have only been a couple of really specific expectations that the National Organizing Committee had for this. One of them was studio tours, and then mostly they said, whatever you feel like is the bandwidth for your chapter. And I think I overestimated what our bandwidth was, and that's why I'm kind of doing 80-90% of what needs to be done right now. But I do have some really great colleagues who are sort of program leads for the individual parties who are taking care of managing most of those details.
that
And I'm
is-
very excited that our chapter recently brought on a partnership director, which is a euphemism for sponsorship director. He brings in the money. He gets
that's
people to write
good.
checks for us. So he's bringing in liquor sponsors and beer sponsors, and we're going to make sure we get everybody properly sloshed New Orleans style.
Okay, this is pretty good. This is coming right up.
And then the one other thing happening
Okay.
that week is that Zender, the marketing and communications company, is holding a week-long exhibit called Idea Code, which is going to be at Rebellion Bar and Grill. I forget what it's called. Rebellion. It's in the CBD. It's a new restaurant, and they're going to have this week-long exhibit of various projects that Zender has been doing in their Tinker Lab, which they call Z Labs. So it's drawing robots, data viz, coding. I haven't seen what any of the individual displays are,
Okay.
but they're going to have an opening reception on Monday, October 5th, and then those exhibits
Man,
will be
there's a
available
lot of
throughout
shit
the
going
week
on at this
for lunch and dinner.
AIGA. So anyway, check it out
That's
at
not even all of it.
AIG, and that's not even all of
That's
it.
not even
There's
all of
more.
it.
You want to have? Is there any more that we want to know?
Oh, well, the
about?
only other one I really wanted to talk about was the other thing that Joseph Makos is doing for us, which is a print history walking tour, which anybody will be able to access at neworleans.aiga.org. So if they feel like walking around town and using this map to discover this sort of forgotten print history of New Orleans as the South's original hub for print and advertising, they'll be able to sort of walk around and,
This is actually, that's really cool.
yeah.
So you can download that on your phone.
It's really going to be within the website. So you'll just go to
Okay.
neworleans.aij.org/whatever it is. Doesn't exist yet.
neworleans.aiga.org.
You got it.
Okay. We'll have a link to that. We have a link to that on our website as well on the It's New Orleans on the show page, which we'll make sure is there because I can't remember any of this. And a lot of people listen to this, they're at the gym or they're driving or they're on their bike or they're asleep, and it's subconscious. So they have no way of doing it. So we'll put the link on our site. That sounds like a lot of great stuff. So this thing, you'll be able to listen to that on your phone or something while you're walking around like a tour?
Well, it's more like a map that you'll be able to open up and look at the different sites and tap on them and read and
That
see
is
an
really
image
cool.
of this print.
That is
history.
really cool. Well, things have got progressively better in the course of events. We've gone from a shitty idea to from a typography lecture to an actual
Well,
party.
you have to understand, for a designer, a typography lecture is like, that's hot stuff. We're like, oh my God, give it to me.
Wow. Okay. Well, it must be interesting being married to an author then.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a designer bone in him as well. He's done visuals throughout his life for one reason or another. So I've actually recently brought him onto the AIGA chapter board.
How come you're not
AIGA
wearing a
New
wedding
Orleans.
ring? I've just noticed. You're not actually married, or you don't believe in it.
He stopped wearing his, and I just stopped wearing mine. It's sort of uncomfortable. That's a terrible.
Okay.
I also
So he started it. He said, "I'm not
he
going to wear my
started it.
wedding ring
well,
anymore
he
because."
sculpts a lot. He does special effects with a lot of clay and latex, and it makes sense to have his wedding ring off. It's always ripping the hairs off the back of his hands with the latex and
Talk
plaster
about
sticking to
side
his
hustle.
hands.
You guys have got a lot going on over there. You live on the West Bank, right?
No, we live in Old Metairie.
Okay. Why did I think you live on the West Bank?
Well, he was a West Bank boy
Oh,
originally.
but he's from the West Bank, your husband. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, we have to get the hell out of
Yes.
here and make room for paying customers. But thank you so much, everybody, for coming on down here. Jeremy
you.
Marks, I'm glad you found it, and sorry about that screw up.
No, it's my pleasure.
Next
being
time we'll
here.
have you back, and we get to play the whole EP though, which is pretty awesome.
You guys get to play the whole EP.
Nice. And Zach Smith has been here too. You can go and
Yeah.
see Zach's exhibition at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation Gallery on Rampart Street.
That's right.
Or you go to ZachSmith.photography.
There you go.
Or ZachSmith.com, whichever one you can remember. And Julia Savin, SEVIN, thank you so much for joining us. AIGA.org. We'll find all those free parties in New Orleans. Thanks so much for joining us. That's our show. Our producer is Graham DePonte. Our associate producer and technical director is Chris Kehoe. Christian Unruh booked our music today for sure. We all know that. Our theme music was written by and is being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on the show, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com, where you can check out many other happy hours that you can listen to, along with some other shows we make here at INO Broadcasting. Out to lunch with Peter Raschuti live from Commander's Palace. True to the Game with Chris True, Midnight Menu +1 with Margot Moss and the Man Who Ate New Orleans. Ray Canada, Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tucker. Milo's Music Parlor with Kim Vu, and the revolutionary new way to buy a house in New Orleans, Unlisted Nola. You can keep up with us on Facebook, on Twitter, and a whole bunch of other time-sucking social media as well. And all of it we call It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our Facebook and Google Plus pages. These photos are taken by the fabulous Alison Moon. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher or some other podcast app, thank you for subscribing to us. Do one thing for us. Take a moment to rate and review us. That helps other people find us. Our show is recorded live today at Wayfair on Ferret Street, where they put fine dining into a sandwich, fine booze into a glass. Andrew Duhon is not here, who's somewhere around the country. You can find him at andrewduhon.com and see if he's in a town near you. On behalf of everybody back at INO Broadcasting around the table here at Wayfair, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. We'll see you back here next week on Happy Hour.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the all-new Pit Smoked Brisket. How would you like it?
I'll take a man who knows what's what.
Y'all know what? The all-new Pit Smoked Brisket at Subway is smoked slower than a slug going up a down escalator, that's what. I'm talking tender, juicy brisket, naturally pit smoked for at least 13 hours. What's more, it's got layer after layer of smoky flavor. Smoked cheddar and barbecue sauce on delicious Italian bread. Subway, make it what y'all want, what not. Limited time only at participating restaurants.